All right, let me ask you a serious question, and you got to be honest with me. Are you leading your life, or are you just merely accepting your life? Like you're just accepting whatever comes by. You just going through the motions and just going through the flow of it? Or are you intentionally walking your life out, knowing to an extent, because obviously we can't know everything, knowing the season God has you in, where He's taking you, the promises that He has spoken over you? What do you think? Which kind of Christian are you? Are you just accepting it, going through the motions, waking up, serving God, and stuck in a routine and just have no clue about what's going on? Because listen, it's not the time for complacency. It's really not the time for complacency. As a man of God, as a woman of God, you must have direction. You must have a vision. You must have a focus. What's the word guarding your life right now? What's the word guiding your life? Where am I headed to? Because David said, thy word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Because I'm going somewhere. There's a word that is directing me going somewhere. And guess what? You got to feed that place you're going to. Some of us get so stuck where we are and what we got to do right now that we don't invest in where we are going. Invest in the things that will take us there. Invest in God's purposes for our life. And if you want to know, one of such investment is spending time with God. That investment is taking your walk with God seriously. I'm not saying you got to know everything about the future. You can't. There's places where God wants to take me next year and in 5 years and in 10 years that I have no clue. But there's things that I can do. There's things I can control. There's things that I can actively get involved with right now. And that is taking my walk with God seriously. That is drawing closer to God than I ever have. That's feeding where I'm going. And a lot of the times, like, we just do things and we just accept our lives, right? We just turn over backwards and just accept our lives. You got to feed what's feeding you. You got to feed what's feeding you. Like Christians, we are like these diesel run engines that sometimes we want to go to the gas station and put in gasoline. Like that engine is going to knock. You got to feed exactly what's feeding you, and you got to feed where you're going to sustain you on this journey, because you can't just accept your life. You can't. I always talk about our walk with God is like going against a constant grain. So the normal motion of the world is this way, right? But following God, when you say you want to follow God, what happens is you stand up from the crowd, you turn your back and start going the opposite direction. And ask every swimmer what it feels like to swim against the current. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Now, accepting your life will just make you flow with the stream, and it will just end you up wherever you want to. And you know what? Listen, I don't want that kind of life, man. Like, no, I don't want that kind of life. I'm a curious person. I'm an adventurous person. I want what God wants of me. I want to go wherever He wants, because I don't know what is going to come out of it. And that curiosity keeps me going. That curiosity keeps me locked in with Him. Because God, take me. I'm down for wherever you want to take me. Because I feel like that's more exciting than just accepting my life. Than just going with the current of the ocean. No. So Christians, you got to stand up and say, you know what? Let me get my journal out. Let me get my Bible out. Let me get hooked up in the church. What's going on? What's the prophetic saying right now? What's the word saying right now? God, when last did God give you a word? What word are you walking out? You get what I'm saying? Because God is a moving God. He's active. He's not dead. There's things that He wants to communicate with you, but you must be activated. You must feed that which feeds you. Our spirit feeds us, right? Our spirit nature that is joined with God. But how much do you feed that spirit in order for Him to feed you? Right? We feed all these other things, our flesh, so fat, right? And no wonder, as believers, a lot of us are lean in the spirit, very fat in the flesh. No. I can't just accept my life. I got to lead it. I gotta consciously, intentionally know what's happening right now. I can't just accept it. It's too costly, man. Like, you got one life. It's very costly to just accept whatever happens to you. You know, the best place, I always point out these two things, is in fellowship and in active relationship with God. That's the easiest first two steps you can take to start to sort out some things in your life and not just accept your life as a Christian.